Good afternoon, everybody. Much the same situation as all of you. Our journey with AppsAnywhere started in 2020. So I actually had met them in the US in 2019, and David and the CEO of AppsAnywhere actually came to QUT in late 2019 to talk about the platform. And then 2020 arrived, and we had a sudden need to shift all of our software that's traditionally licensed and deployed into labs into the BYOD context, because students were all suddenly working and studying from home, which was a challenge. There's a lot of challenges. You'll know about getting that licensing fit for use in a remote sense. But the biggest challenge, one of the other challenges, was how do you actually get that software to students? How do they access it? Every software is licensed differently. The instructions are different. How they access it is differently. Some they go to a vendor's website, some we pre-package, some we give the instructions online. And so it was, as we were battling to get licensing fit for the BYOD context, we were also struggling with how do we tell students how to get it. At that time, we reached out to another vendor who'd done a lot of work within Queensland universities with a similar technology, and we never heard back. And at that same time, AppsAnywhere proactively reached out to us with an offer in COVID to spin up something for us quite rapidly, and they were able to. So within a couple days of their time, probably a week or two total, including our requirements, we had AppsAnywhere spun up and working for us. So that was the driver for it. It wasn't a new challenge. We already had been playing in that space. We had an established VDI instance, and we'd already noticed the same stories that Leon talked about, that in an average lab of 25 machines, half of them, they'd push the all-in-one machine aside and they'd be sitting in front of their laptop without the software, but that's the device they wanted to use. Also, our most popular spaces, the popular space beyond the labs are very popularly, heavily visited, but it was the collaboration spaces. So it was the open spaces without computers. That's where students tended to congregate. So we've got a beautiful area in Peabody where rows of seats, and it's all beautifully laid out. No technology in the space, but that seemed to be where students gathered to collaborate with themselves, with their laptops. So I already saw this growing need to be able to deliver software to students on the devices that they already have. But the VDI instance that we had wasn't able to meet all those challenges. So what really attracted us about AppsAnywhere, there's so many things about AppsAnywhere that worked really well for us. I think the main driver was that app store. So students can go to one URL from any device, whether that's an on-campus lab here or on their personal device. They get the same experience. They get the app store-like feel that students are familiar with. They have that single pane of glass that, depending on their context and their enrollments, they got the software that's assigned to them. And from there, they can just click a button, and behind the scenes, AppsAnywhere handles all those different means of delivering the software. What it set AppsAnywhere apart from the other tools we looked at was that sheer variety of tools of how it can deliver it. So the CloudPaging is brilliant as a way of sort of streaming the software to it, but it can also tie into VDI, it can tie into Jamf and SCCM. We can package software as standalone products. We can put it to websites. There's just a ton of different delivery models, which means no matter how tricky the software, there's a good chance there's a way to deliver it through AppsAnywhere. And we haven't come across anything where we just can't deliver it through AppsAnywhere yet. There's still some products that license in bizarre ways, but there's generally a way around it because just that sheer volume of the different delivery models. The other benefit for us, in a lab context, is we constantly get late requests. So semester starts, we've deployed the labs, the software is configured. Someone comes on and says, I need this now. And so, we thaw the labs in a maintenance window, install the software, refreeze. But that's time consuming. We can't respond rapidly. That takes days or weeks to wait for those right things to line up. The new version will be packaged to go into a maintenance window. With AppsAnywhere, we update the package, we throw it in the back end. Next time those machines launch, they get the newest version. So we've got a particular instance where we've got a lab with in a health space, some very dedicated stuff. It's very hard to manage that. The laptop, it's a laptop lab. They're never on. The benefit of pushing stuff by AppsAnywhere, it doesn't matter. We're not having to maintain a static image. We update the package in the back end of AppsAnywhere. The student goes to launch it and they get the current version. So it's proven really helpful to us to deliver both to BYOD as well as improving our on-campus experience. And the benefit for the students is it doesn't matter what device they're on. It's the same interface. It's the same app store. And it tells them the rules around what's licensed and what they can access in different contexts. So if the student's wondering why I can't access this software in a lab but not on my BYOD machine, it'll tell them in those where it's unavailable why that is. You can restrict it by where the location of you've got licensing is restricted to a particular area. We do a lot of restrict access via AD groups in the units the students are enrolled in, so they're getting the software development to their course, so we can restrict that access. You can also time bomb the software, so after a period of time, it's unavailable. So particular products where we've got like an annual license key, we can roll it out and then pull it back when we need to. So it's been really, really powerful for us. But I'm guessing that challenge I'm talking about is the same challenge that everyone's got. There are a variety of tools. The other thing with AppsAnywhere, I think what the driver for us, as Leo mentioned, VDI is hard to scale up if it's an on-prem system, and Azure cloud costs are very expensive. The benefit of AppsAnywhere is we can still do both of those, but wherever possible, the software is running on the student's personal device, on their bare metal. So we're not trying to provide the compute or the resourcing or paying the cloud service fees unless we absolutely have to. So we haven't done the Parallels route, although I'm keen to see Steve get some good pricing on Parallels, on some RAS licensing, but we're looking to use Azure Windows virtual desktops for students for some software where they're on a Mac but they need Windows software, or it requires GPU but their machine is a Chromebook. But wherever possible, we're using their bare metal. It's not costing us the compute, and the student, it runs better for them because it's running it on the machine in front of them as if it was installed there. But the minute they're no longer enrolled at QT, that software is dead. So we don't have to worry about installing products on BYOD machines and then working out how do we get it back. We're not managing the device. We're just providing access to the software on that device. So it's proven to be a really an elegant tool for us. Often with these webinars, I want to see the tool. So I thought I'd just do a quick demo of it, just because vendors will say how good a product is through screenshots and you have to believe them. AppsAnywhere is that good that I'm happy to demo it. I know live demos are pretty dangerous and risky. That could go all wrong, but it hasn't failed me yet. So that's our interface. Hopefully you can see that now of AppsAnywhere. It's integrated with single sign-on, so it uses the QT credentials. It can also auto log on. So on lab machines, you don't see this. They just sign straight into the interface when they go to AppsAnywhere.qt. But I just thought I'd leave that there. So website opens up. There's a validation tool. So there is a client that's to the machine that does the talking backwards and forwards. But once it's run once, it basically hides in the background. And there's some of our catalog. So I haven't got the full catalog, but there's a bunch of applications that we've packaged. Within those 2 weeks for our first launch, I think we launched about 80 apps in the 2 to 3 weeks that we had to spin it up. And that's because AppsAnywhere provided all the open source software, plus they've got that catalog of software that's already been requested. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. We just need to provide our serial key ads in there. So all of these things are tested and working. It works across Mac, Windows, iOS, Android, Chrome. Something here is Affinity. I'm not going to launch any of those Adobe apps, but Affinity is a great series of products. I'll just show you here. They're not installed. No. So there's my currently installed stuff. But I can go here, Affinity Designer, launch. It launches the app. The CloudPaging app launches. And there it is. So it's not waiting to install it. It's great also for meeting rooms. I love it going into meeting rooms and using the stuff because traditionally a meeting room for us, they're deep frozen. So if you install a piece of software, you need to reboot. It's not there when you reboot. Or you've got to wait for it to install because that software is not there. And 5 10 minutes later, it's there. This, click the button. I can use a feed designer on any device, in any meeting room, or at a lab, or my personal device when I get home. And it's that quick. Affinity Publisher, launch it. CloudPage is running. It's pulling it down, streaming it in the background, authorizing, launching the app as if it was installed natively. And now when I go into Windows, all apps, there's Affinity Designer, Affinity Publisher. I'm not going to launch it from there. That's already there. So I have that Affinity Designer. And just launches. And it's there. It's that easy. So I don't know how to use these tools because I'm not a creative person, but that's how quick it is to launch them. Testing, it'll take 2 seconds to launch. Tiny app, but that's it. It's not trying to install it. It's not waiting for that process of progress bars. It pulls down the thing and launches because it's all containerized. Our teams love packaging and AppsAnywhere. We've done Synapping and Apping and a whole bunch of different things. The packaging tool for AppsAnywhere is fantastic. If you have to package it, there's a vast majority of stuff. The AppsAnywhere guys already have that stuff packaged. You just provide your serial key. Also, they provide the recipes. So once you've packaged it once, there's the step-by-step instructions for how to do it again. And you just follow those. So really powerful. Where you've got apps that integrate with other apps, it works well. So now with Synap, it's very hard to get apps to talk to apps when they have shared repositories and all that stuff. AppsAnywhere's got the multiple layers. The teams love it because they can just allow these things to talk because it behaves like it's installed natively, even though it's not. So I thought I'd just give you a quick run through. That's what it looks like. There's Blender. Our Blender license needs to be updated, but that's not an AppsAnywhere thing. It really is that easy to use. Handbrake, and not a big app, but pulls down, launches, and there it is, doing its thing. So I'll stop sharing. I'm happy to answer any questions. I just thought that's just a quick run through of how the tool looks and how it works. The analytics engine behind it is fantastic. So if you want to see applications you've got in the catalog, how often they're launched, where they're launched, how many hours they're using it for, particularly if you have a tricky vendor that won't provide BYOD usage stats products that they charge a fortune for. Through here, you get a full list of all of the usage and utilization. You can see where people are in the world, how long they're using it. It's really powerful. So that's really good for our learning and teaching unit because they can get a sense then of what are students using out there and what units. And so it's powerful for us. Also gives us better visibility. So when we were trying to do licensing for students in a BYOD context, that was our biggest issue. Pandemic. We got asked to license software for BYOD use. And ask the academics how many licenses you need, how many students are using it. AppsAnywhere provides that data, so it's been fantastic for us.